Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. We have the tropics. Are the tropics going to start lighting up here in the Atlantic? Well, we'll get into all the details on that. We're dealing with Tropical Storm Frank in the Eastern Pacific. We also have another area we're watching. And we'll go over all the features here in the Atlantic, see if we have that tropical wave that's, we saw last time. Is it expected to develop into anything? We'll take a look at that here. And we'll be taking a look at a big pattern change here in North America. But is heat coming back for next week? And what does that mean for the ring of fire that's been pushed to the mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley? Is that going to be heading back north? We'll get into all of those details and answer all those questions for you. All right, let's start with Cape Verde Islands. Does this system have much of a chance? It looks impressive. Unfortunately, hostile environment to the west. Plus, it's going to start drifting towards the west-southwest, so it's going to kind of lose some of its punch and its spin. What about the area behind it? Well, yeah, it looks impressive, but wait till it gets over in this location. It's not going to look so impressive. And here we go with Frank. Yeah, it's got some stuff going for it, but it's a very lopsided system. It's, there's not much shower and thunderstorm activity on the east side. It's a very elongated system. It is suffering from some wind shear. There is some dry air intrusion on the east side of the system, so I think the system's going to continue to battle that. Look at this. This is quite a bit of moisture here off the coast of Puerto Vallarta here with some tropical monsoon moisture, and this system ahead of it may have a chance of development, but look at the close proximity to Frank. These two systems might mitigate each other and not allow much strengthening to occur. Right, so let's take a look at the tropics here. There is Frank. There's an interesting system out there in the Central Pacific. Here in the Western Pacific, we got a few invest systems to talk about. Nothing developing at the time, but things are looking interesting. It's the Atlantic. We're like, what is going on here? What is all this? Well, let's break it all down for you here. Look at this. There is an interesting looking system. It would look promising if there wasn't so much darn wind shear west of it with some dry air. There's also some dust funneling down here, and you can see this cyclonic. It's almost like a high-level clouds. This is like a dust thing that formed off of Africa here, and it's kind of pinwheeling. Let's show that pinwheeling here. So see how it's kind of just moving westward here? It's almost looks like a cyclone. But yeah, this system kind of gets shoved a little bit too far south here. So the cyclonic motion kind of loses here. And look it out here. We got an interesting little wave here down towards Panama. And there's Frank kind of struggling. I think Frank's going to be, struggling for the next several days. Hurricane is questionable at this point. And look at this. We got some systems out here in the Western Pacific. We'll watch those for development. So, what you're really interested is getting to August. So let's get you to August here. Friday, July 29th. Frank does have a narrow window of opportunity to blow up here. You can see. Take a look at this. It is staying well to the southwest of Cabo San Lucas. There's Puerto Vallarta. These areas, it is looking interesting here. Because at this point, this could become a minimal hurricane. It's a long shot at this point, but the structure's looking a little bit better here by Saturday, July 30th. So as we continue to put this into motion, let's see if there is a wave here that we'll have to watch. Another wave back in through Central Africa. But, a lot can change between now and then. So let's continue to put this into motion. Frank continues to, try to become a hurricane here. Its structure is just structurally bad on the northeast side, but it does start to try to bring some of these thunderstorms around. So, it's good effort there, Frank, but we'll see if you can become any sort of anything beyond a strong tropical storm. So if you notice here in the Atlantic, the GFS kind of loses that tropical wave by this point, Monday, August 1st. As I showed you last video, it was supposed to be cruising right through the Caribbean islands here. Look at how all the thunderstorm activities are squelched towards the South American coastline here. You got this big old cloud deck here. This is just too stable. There's some dust mixed in here. There's some high-level clouds. It's just not looking very good here. I don't know what's going on here with the Atlantic, but it's definitely not if you're into the tropics, if you're into hurricanes, it's definitely not your sort of thing. But, if you're looking for quiet weather, that's kind of what you want to see. So there it is. We got some other systems developing here. This is Wednesday, August 3rd. Another area of development here. Another wave developing potentially. the Eastern Pacific seems to be transitioning as well. If that's one thing we want to look at. If the Eastern Pacific starts to squelch down a little bit, peter out, so to speak, then we could be looking at a rise in the Atlantic here. So this could be something we definitely want to keep an eye on. Look at this wave. This is right around Wednesday, August 3rd. There's another big wave there in the Intertropical Convergence Zone into Central Africa. So definitely want to keep an eye on this. And as we go into the Western Pacific, we start to see a system here that I think bears extreme watching here. There's a couple, areas of low pressure here, but if you look, it's kind of all strung out here north of the Philippines. Things could get really interesting here as we head towards August 5th or 6th. So let's continue to put this into motion. See if we have anything interesting to look forward to here. Look at that. The Gulf of Mexico continues to remain clear as a bell here. If you look at the Intertropical Convergence Zone here, it is far to the south for this time of year. Here's the Cape Verde Islands up here. So this is, this is a pattern we're not so much used to but the last couple of years, but look at how the clouds begin to clear here. That's what you want to see. Look at this tropical wave start to develop here into the Western Caribbean. This is what the GFS and the Euro were both picking up on last week, and as you can see, there it is. So we'll have to watch for that. We head to the Western Pacific. Look what we have start to develop here. This could be a system here into the Western Pacific we'll have to keep our eyes on. Also here into the Central Pacific, take a look at this. This could become a named storm as well into the Central Pacific Center here. And look at this. Let's continue this. We'll continue to the last frame here. Take a look at this. So this is Sunday, August 7th. It's quiet, and we have some clouds building up here. But we'll watch this. We'll see if this can continue and maybe head north towards the Gulf of Mexico here. It's kind of persistent. And that's what you want to see this time of year, persistent thunderstorms to get any sort of development going on here. And some of these East Coast troughs and frontal boundaries that get hung up, see these areas where you get some of these stronger thunderstorms complexes, those can form into tropical systems as well. And you can see here, look at this. This is what I wanted to show you. Sunday, August 7th. 2 a.m. Now take this with a grain of salt because it is a bit far out, but look at this. This is just southeast of Taiwan here, the island of Taiwan. There's Taipei, the capital. There's the coastline of China. There's Shanghai up there. So if this system continues towards the northwest here, let's see what it does here. This could be a pretty formidable system, and at this point, it's not good to focus on just one point. You see, there's the eye showing up here in the eye wall coming on shore of Taiwan. This could be several hundred miles east or west. So, the coastline of China here definitely bears watching. We'll continue to watch it here. This is something definitely to watch. And as we continue in time, it heads towards the coast of China. It becomes a flood threat at that point. So, heading into the Eastern Pacific, this little feature here, let's just back that up slightly. That could be an interesting feature to watch for Hawaii here. This is Tuesday, August 9th, and there it is, the Atlantic. Things might be heating up in the Western Caribbean and off the coast of the Cape Verde Islands. All right, so on the Euro, we can see, look at the high-pressure systems. See them very well. It's going to keep these systems more on a westerly and then a northwesterly. So none of these are really going to be able to head towards, the U.S. East Coast here. They're going to keep heading west. In fact, some of them are going to have the tendency to just head over here into the Pacific like we've been seeing, initially with Bonnie there. But, as we continue in time here, let's take a look and see if the trend is there for the Euro. This is Friday, July 29th, this Friday. It looks pretty clear here, although there is a tropical wave you can kind of see here right in the center of this circle. So the Euro is kind of holding on to it a little bit better here than the GFS. And let's continue in time here. You definitely see there is a weakness there. So, it's not showing up as any closed low-pressure system, but it's going to bring some beneficial rains to the Lesser Antilles, the Virgin Islands, and eventually Puerto Rico. You can see this is Saturday, July 30th here. So, as we continue in time here, the Euro's picking up at something interesting here into the southern Gulf of Mexico, too. See, there's that wave in the northern Caribbean islands. high pressure is starting to retreat here back towards the northeast here. So we'll have to watch that, because that could eventually allow systems to, the intertropical convergence zone, to bump back further north, and these systems to have a tendency to either recurve or head towards the east coast or the eastern Gulf of Mexico towards Florida. So here we have it. If you can see here, at this point, things are looking kind of interesting with the Euro, a lot more so than the GFS. It brings a lot more shower and thunderstorm activity here into the Gulf. We do have this high pressure start to build further west again. This is pretty persistent, though. So it will keep these systems moving west-northwesterly here. And as we continue on with the Euro here, things kind of quiet down here. This is Wednesday, August 3rd, first week of August. And look at that. Finish it off like the GFS. A big old tropical wave here off the Cape Verde Islands. Ready to come off here. So we'll watch it. Now, I briefly wanted to show you the Western Pacific here. Euro's picking up on something hitting the southern part of Japan in the Friday, July 29th, so this Friday. So we'll watch it here, see if anything develops. But let's take a look and see if that storm develops like it did on the GFS that first week of August here. So there is definitely a weakness showing up here. Look at that shower thunderstorm activity really starting to show up here on the Euro. Let's see if there's any sort of, there it is. So it's a bit further south and west. It is showing up on the Euro, so we'll watch it here. All right, so how's the Euro do in the Eastern Pacific with keeping these storms away from Mexico here? So yeah, this is the intertropical convergence zone. Definitely keeping these systems frank and whatnot moving towards the northwest here. Euro is definitely keeping frank pretty weak here, and you see along the Mexican coast you're getting that flare up of that tropical moisture from the monsoon season. It's still continuing here into August, so look at that. Yeah, it keeps these systems, this is Sunday, July 31st, keeps them well out to sea here. As you can see, there is potentially another system developing here to the south. This is by Thursday, August 4th. All right, so let's take a look at the pattern here. The good old jet stream, 500 millibars. So this is where a lot of the weather occurs. You can see here, you're going to eke out a pretty nice day going on to your Wednesday across the Northeast. And as I can see why here, take a look at this. You know, you get into parts of the Northeast, you have a divergent pattern going on here. So yeah, the jet is overhead, but anywhere you get this divergence, you see these equal areas of pressure going away in these two locations. That is fair weather, but look where they comes together here in the northern plains. That's where you're going to see strong to severe thunderstorms, and then of course on the southern end of this as well. As we continue in time here, look at this. We head towards Thursday. This is going to be the day across the Northeast. You get a jet max overhead. This is 65 to 75 knots here. And any thunderstorm that's strong enough that can tap into this wind will bring that down to the surface, and you'll see damaging wind, threat. A big deal here for later Thursday into early Friday. And you see that jet max really kicks in there later Friday across the eastern part of New York State, eastern Pennsylvania, and New England. But you know what? This should set us up for a pretty nice weekend. And look at that. That ridge of high pressure really starts to build over. All right, so for severe weather, is there any areas of problems, say, starting from Tuesday night all the way to like Thursday or Friday? Well, let's take a look here. So we're at 10 p.m. on Tuesday evening. And as we continue to put the good old future radar into motion here, take a look at this. So as I have said before, over the next several days, this is where our proverbial ring of fire is going to be, and it's going to drop down some areas here from the Midwest. I know this looks like a old spaghetti mess, but take a look at this. So yeah, we're going to watch our thunderstorm complexes just continue to funnel on down through the Ohio River Valley into the central Appalachians. So as we get to 2 p.m. on Wednesday, you get a little bit of development over here into parts of western Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania, West Virginia, northern Virginia here, western Virginia, and then you got a big old complex developing back here towards Nebraska. So as we continue in time here, let's get you through your Wednesday. Look what starts to develop here. Ooh, this is interesting. Look at this. This is southwest of Pittsburgh, Charleston, West Virginia, up towards Indiana, Ohio, we could have some isolated strong cells out of this. So, definitely something to watch up here. Look at this towards Virginia Beach, southern Delmarva, just north of Virginia Beach, I should say. Look at this. This is a big old mess. We could have some stronger thunderstorms developing here. So let's continue to put this into motion and see what we got for you as we continue in time. These mesoscale convective systems are really going to get a big one back towards Kansas City here. So definitely watch out for that. Of course, as we get through the overnight, it'll turn more into a heavy rain flash flood event. But some of these could produce damaging wind, large hail, and isolated tornadoes. But here we got another one coming out of eastern Kentucky into nocturnal big old thunderstorms here south of Charleston, West Virginia. So you get the idea here. Things are going to be pretty active here across the Ohio Valley and the Mid-Atlantic as we head in time. And look at this Thursday. Look at this big old complex. This is with the frontal boundary. You can definitely see it here. It's going to push some warmer, humid air back up into the northeast temporarily here before we head into a nice weekend. But look at this. Cleveland up to Columbus. Cleveland, not so much severe, but down towards Columbus on southward here, you could be looking at damaging wind, large hail, frequent lightning, isolated tornadoes. This is towards 11 a.m. on Thursday. As we continue that in time, that threat kind of pushes to the north and to the east here. Look at this. Erie, Pittsburgh, Morgantown, Charleston. Whoa, look at that up towards Binghamton. A lone supercell showing up there. So definitely want to watch out maybe in this area ahead of the main line. Prefrontal trough, we could kick off some isolated, strong supercell type thunderstorms. It's not going to be a big severe weather outbreak, but definitely going to want to watch out for that. Here we go, continuing on. We're picking up with the NAM 3 kilometer here. So yeah, we're going to continue to watch some of these stronger supercell type systems develop. But you know what? The NAM is kind of figuring here that there's going to be a squall line developing somewhere another western New York to western Pennsylvania. So Thursday is going to be a big day across the Northeast here. I think there'll be at least a slight risk of severe thunderstorms that will be occurring. So we'll continue to watch it here. I think Thursday is going to be your most volatile day. And look at that. You might actually get out some beneficial rain out of some of these as they start to bog down a little bit. That's kind of what you don't want to see to put a dent here in the drought, but you don't want to see the severe weather. And this is what we could be seeing. Some of these cells could be getting a little frisky here as they move through the Binghamton, Albany area, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Look at down. Ooh. Wow, if this verifies, look at this big monster cells developing down here. Definitely some instability we're going to want to keep our eyes on, especially in southeastern Pennsylvania. I mean, it looks pretty bad up here in parts of the Hudson Valley up into New England, but wow, that looks monstrous there. So if you're in southeastern Pennsylvania, parts of eastern Maryland, definitely want to watch out for that. Look at that, eastern New Jersey. This is by 11 p.m. Thursday. And then look at that. Behind it, we're going to clear it out here for a beautiful weekend. So as we take a look at the height anomalies, this is going to give us a good idea, see if that heat wave is going to come back into the Northeast and the Great Lakes. And you can see this is by Saturday, July 30th. Take a look at that. That trough is kicking out here to the Northeast. So at this point, behind it, the ridge is really kicking in here. And let's see if that really dominates and takes over into next week. Well, we do see a little bit, of that kind of kick through. Another slight trough here into Wednesday, August 3rd, so you might see a little bit of a cool down. You'll see a warm start to the Northeast into the 90s in many areas, but look at that. By Wednesday, unfortunately Thursday, you get a little reprieve on Wednesday, but look what really takes over. This is signifying to me that heat's going to be building to the Northeast here later on the first week of August, and that trough really stays bottled up here over north central Canada. All right, so it's really comfortable here across the northern plains, Northeast, and the Great Lakes. Is this going to last? Well, 70s and 80s for your Wednesday into Thursday. Look at that. Kicking these downward, but it's kind of pushing the heat up here in the east. This will be temporary, up mid to upper 80s, near 90 around New York City. Look at that, the heat, 109 up there in eastern Washington. This is going to push on the wildfires. Look at that, 112 there in northern California. But look at that. You're getting comfortable even down here into the desert southwest. So we push down one area and we push up in another. Look at that. Friday, July 29th. This comfortable air. Big chunk of the country now. This is beautiful. 70s in many of these areas. The thing is, though, is this going to last? Well, one key to look at, see how the heat's building here in the northern plains. It's going to keep spreading east here. Heat's building here across the southeast. Eventually, that's going to be transported northeastward here. As we head towards Sunday, look how things are filling in here. Even though you're still kind of cooler than the rest of the nation, you're getting into the mid-upper 80s here in parts of the northeast. And as we head towards day 7 here, Monday, August 1st, look at this. We're getting into the 90s. Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. Yeah, it's the dog days of summer are still ahead of us here. Upper Susquehanna, River Valley, Binghamton to Scranton. Take a look. Wednesday through Sunday. Sunny Wednesday. We're heading back up towards 88, I know. I promise you it will be lower humidity. So, still warm. Thursday, yeah, the humidity is on. 89. Many areas will be cracking 90. Just not a good situation. You might have a strong thunderstorm later in the day. They will be widely scattered, though. So don't count on it. But some of those areas that normally get them could see some gully washers heading up towards 89. As I said, into Friday, that front starts to move through come mid to late morning. So you may have a stray shower or thunderstorm in the morning, but clearing off throughout the day, lower humidity. Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's the nicest day, 80 degrees. Sunday, yeah, the heat's back. At least it's a dry heat, 88. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern. Links in the description down below if you haven't watched my outlooks, hurricane outlooks. Facebook and Media Mark, also Hurricane Northeastern, also Weather Northeastern, also Susquehanna Weather. You can also visit me at MediaMark.com, weathernortheastern.com, and Twitter at Weather Eastern.